Hi, it's me with another tutorial about variables in Python. So, without further ado, let's just get right into it. So, to create a variable, first you need to give it a name. To do that, let's just say student count. Okay, now 25. So, before we go deep into this, so let me just teach you what is a variable. See this problem as in this direction. So instead of thinking about programming, think about real life. So what's happening here is, in real life you get a box and store 25 in there, close the box and label it as student count. So that's what exactly happening here. In programming, a variable is a small container that contains information as like a box. Okay, now in Python, to understand, that's what really happening. A Python gets a box and store 25 in there and label it as student count. Okay, now how to print this? First you need to say print. This is the function. Okay, we gonna go more deep into functions in another video. So how to print out 25 or the student count, how many students there are. To do that, you need to give it the variable name. Okay, now what's happening here is, when Python tries to print it out, first is try to find out what is student count. So in this case, what is student count? It's a variable. So Python tries to find a box or a variable called student count. When it's find it, it gets all the information in there and print it out. When we run this, as you can see, it prints out 25. Okay, now right here we store a number or integer in a variable. So how to store text or message in a variable? Easy. First you need to give it a proper name. For a text we can't just say student count. Instead of, let's just give it a name. Student name. So think about a name. Tom. Now also I want to show you that when we run this, name error, name student count is not defined because there's not a variable called student count right now. So instead of saying student count, let's just say student name. Now when we run this, as you can see, it prints out Tom. So what are the other types of variables in programming? There's a concept called Booleans in programming. Actually, a Boolean is a true or false value. So let me give you an idea. So think about this in this way. If think about something that can only be true or false. Let's just say is published, which means a book is published or not. So it can only be true or false. So let's just do that. Is published. Now let's just say true. Then when we say this, now the book has published. If we says false, now the book hasn't published. So then the actual value of is published is now false. To check that, first let's print is published. Published. Now as you can see, it prints out false. So there's another type that we can store in a variable. Yes, that's decimal point numbers. To do that, simple. First you need to give it a name. Let's just say student rating. Now let's equal this to a decimal point number 4.99. Now let's print it out. Student count. Now when we run this, oh I did a mistake here. Instead of saying student count, we need to say student rating. Now when we run this, as you, oh, did I spell? Yes. Okay, now let me tell you this. if you need to write the exact variable or the exact information, you need to spell things right. Right here we spells it wrong because I put another S here, but there's not a S right here. So there is no variable called student rating. So let's just delete this now. As you can see, 4.99. Now let's do some advanced stuff with this. So let's print out Tom is 25 using variables. Student name Tom. Also, I just want to say, do you see that we put two double quotes? The reason is, so let's think about this in this way. You know this is a text because I talk and tell it to you, but Python doesn't know it. So Python needs to understand this is a text. That's why we use two double quotes. As soon as he sees two double quotes, it thinks this is a text. Okay. Now let's get back to the problem. How to print Tom is 25? Simple. You can do it in this way. Tom is 25. When we run this, what we want comes out. But let's do this with using variables to learn more. Student name. Now just wait, I will explain it to you. Now when we run this, as you can see, it's print out Tom is 25 with not the space bar. So to fix that, simple, you just put a space bar. Now it's fine. So what's happening here? When we put a plus sign between two strings, it simply attach them. Okay, now what's happening is it attached Tom with a string or text called spacebar is not a spacebar, space is space 25. So that's what's happening is simply this attach those two text. Now instead of saying 25, let's store it in a variable. Let's say student age. Now let's just put 25 in there and again put a plus sign in there and say student age. Now when we run this, as you can see, this gives me a type error. This problem was actually been a problem for me for days. So I tried to find it out what's happening here. So let me tell you what's happening here, what I discovered. Okay, now you know how to do maths. If I ask you a question like 5 plus 5, what is the answer? You would say 10 because you know maths. But if I ask you a question like this, what is the answer for 5 plus a? Man, there's no answer because you can't add a number with a letter. So that's what really happening here is you can't add a number with a text. So this gives us a type error. So how to fix this? One way is convert this into a string or text. In programming we say a text as a string. Okay, remember that. When we run this, it's fine. But there's a little problem here. But then someone asked print out the Tom's age after 2 years. Then you would just do student age plus 2. Fine, no? But no, because now this is a string or text. Also, you can't add a number with the text. So again, this gives us error. So how to fix this? So let me just turn it back to an integer. Now, how to do this? To do this, what should we do? What should we do is only in this situation we should convert it into a string. To do that, there's a function called str, means string. So str over the student age variable. Now when we run this, as you can see, it's fine. what's happening here is it first Python first find out what is student age. In this case it's 25 and take a copy of it and get it. After that Python automatically converts it into a string because we are using str function. So its print out student name is 25 without no problem. Also remember that this function doesn't change the actual value of 25. In this case we only take a copy. Okay, original value still stays like this as 25. So therefore we were able to print out 25 like this. So there's also another way. This way is actually not a good way to do it, but you're gonna learn something. You're gonna learn to implement into another thing. Okay, now let's just convert into a string. Then after that student age. Okay, now as we guys saw before, now this is gonna give us a error. So how to remove that error? To do that, first you need to change the actual value of 25. To change the actual value of 25, you just say like this. Now what will Python do is it will change text 25 to 25 because we say it. Okay, now when we run this without any problems, it happens. So I hope you guys really enjoyed it. If you like our videos, please subscribe. We will be doing Python tutorials daily. So I hope you guys enjoy this video very much. So bye bye. Stay tuned for more.